My name is Dr. Tushar Mehta. I'm from Canada, and I did my residency there in family medicine. I've also practiced addictions medicine, and I've mostly practiced emergency medicine, or what you call A&E in some countries. I have an interest in international health, and I do work in India and a few other places. And on top of that, I have a strong interest in plant-based diet and health. So when I say plant-based diet and health, you can also say vegan diet and health. And I'm here on behalf of Hina Modi and plantshift.com. Let's talk about gluten. Okay, let's talk about gluten. Now, some people think that whole grains are amazing, they want to eat a lot of them, and some people think that they're like the devil. You know, grains, whole grains, most of these grains contain gluten, and that's bad for you. Okay, what does the evidence show? Well, the evidence shows this. First of all, that people having whole grains in their diet have less heart disease. Okay, and even if they have diabetes and whole grains are a carbohydrate, people having whole grains have improvements in their diabetes. Okay, that's what the evidence shows. So that's good. Okay, now people have been eating whole grains for thousands of years. There's lots of Paleolithic evidence where people were harvesting whole grains, eating grains, and sometimes, you know, making them into flour and heating them up and doing things to make them even more digestible. Okay, so it's not like it's an unnatural food from that point of view, but let's just look at it from the point of view of our health today, regardless of what happened in ancient times. The fact is that less heart disease, improvements in diabetes. Okay, so what about this gluten allergy? There's a lot of people talking about, you know, they got to go gluten-free, they don't feel good with gluten. Is that a placebo effect, or is that something real? Okay, there are some interesting studies done about this. What they've done is, first of all, taken people who say they have gluten intolerance and tested them for celiac disease. Now, celiac disease is a real allergy that happens in about 1 out of 200 people, sometimes 1 out of 100 people. I'm in the UK right now. In some parts of Ireland, it's like 1 out of, you know, it's like 4 out of 100 people. It's like 4% or even slightly more than that have celiac disease. That's a very special, interesting population. But for generally, general population is, you know, 1 out of 200, 1 out of 100. So you need to test for that. And if somebody has severe symptoms with gluten, then maybe they have undiagnosed celiac disease. So let's test them. Now, if they test negative for celiac disease, and you look at these people who say they have gluten intolerance, but they're celiac disease negative, they've been tested and they're not celiacs, okay? What they do, with some studies that they've done, if they've put these people on a gluten-free diet, okay, but then given them a muffin to eat every day, or maybe 2 or 3 muffins to eat every day, depending on the study, the muffin either contains gluten or it contains a placebo. So there's no gluten in it, or it could be the muffin that's loaded with gluten. Now the person who's eating the muffin, they don't know which one they're getting. Okay, so it's a kind of a randomized trial like we do with many drug trials. And they eat the muffin for 2 weeks, and some others will eat the muffin B for 2 weeks. And then they give them a week and no muffins, and then they switch them over. And the guys who are having muffin A eat muffin B, and the other ones will eat the other muffin. And then they survey these people, and they ask them, okay, which muffin made you feel better and which muffin made you feel worse? So this is a group of people, as I mentioned, they all complain of, you know, strong symptoms against gluten. They are gluten intolerant people, self-identified, but we've taken out the celiacs and we're just studying them with these muffins. It turns out that most of the time, people don't know which muffin was which. In many cases, people say the gluten muffin was the one that made them feel better, and the other muffin made them feel worse. Okay, and sometimes it's the reverse. There's hardly any, it's just kind of random almost. But for the most people, for the most part, when they're put on these placebo versus gluten muffins, it's a wash. You know, it's almost a wash. They can't tell the difference. So that's a very interesting thing. Okay, so you know, I think that there's a lot of things that there's these memes that go around society. You know, if everybody starts saying it, if everybody starts saying something, then people start believing it. That's the way it is with soy. People all think that soy is like this evil thing, right? And we'll talk more about soy in the next video. But indeed, it's kind of a superfood. And with grains and whole grains, you know, even the ones that contain gluten, people are missing out on something that helps diabetes, helps prevent diabetes, and helps prevent heart attacks and reduces cancer by eating whole grains. So don't miss out on foods that are good for you, okay? And, you know, if you are one of these people who are gluten intolerant, really gluten intolerant, get tested for celiac disease. It's a good idea, because that's what maybe you have if you have severe allergy to gluten, okay? Thanks a lot. See you in the next video. So the references for every single video that I have are going to be downloadable from the description box, where you can click and download the entire set of references, and then just scroll down to the relevant references. If it's a video on diabetes or cancer or something like that, scroll down to the relevant section and take a look at the references that I'm speaking about. In my videos, I'll generally discuss one reference, but it's going to take too long to discuss 10 references and you'll be bored out of your mind. So I'll discuss one, and then you can go into the reference list and look at more references that are talking about the same topic. And it's important not just to have one reference, but to have multiple references that discuss a topic, because then you're seeing that different studies are being done in different places by different people, and they're getting similar results that are reinforcing each other. Okay, so that's another good thing to look at.